So there's about 100 Marvel films that I haven't seen. But I have read all of the comics and watched a lot of the shows, so I feel like that gets me some kind of street cred. Hey there guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about Marvel superheroes. Now, I am more of a DC person, I'm not gonna lie. I was raised on DC Comics, so it's kind of just like been burned into my brain that like DC is king. But I will admit that Marvel has been kicking ass in the film game. Like, as much as it pains me to say, you know, the most recent DC films are just like nowhere near at the level of Marvel films. They have been kicking ass seriously. But all of that being said, I am a huge comic book fan and I find a lot of inspiration from comic book characters, and a lot of comic books by a lot of people are viewed as kind of something for children and something that's frivolous and silly, but at their core they're still stories, and storytelling is like the oldest art we have in this world to convey messages, and there are so many amazing messages and lessons that you can get through comic books. So I wanted to talk about some of the messages that I have learned through Marvel characters and Marvel comic book series. Firstly, I want to talk about Spider-Man. We all love Spider-Man, whether it's Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or the most recent incarnation of Spider-Man, Tom Holland, who we all love, because if you don't love Tom Holland, you are lying. Now, we all know that Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider and it gave him amazing super strength and agility and spidey senses, but as well as these powers that he got kind of by accident, he also invented the web shooters that he uses because he's crazy smart. And as well as Spider-Man, most of the villains in the Spider-Man world gained their powers either from things that they built or because of some sort of science experiment gone wrong. And what I've always thought about Spider-Man is hard work, inventiveness, and ingenuity pays off. Now, like I said, a lot of the time people get their powers because things went wrong. But for some people in the Spider-Man universe, they got their powers and abilities because they were smart and they had a vision and they created something that elevated them past just regular human status and made them a hero or a villain. Number 2 on my list is the X-Men, and I don't really mean one specific X-Men, I mean all of them, and all of the students that go to Charles Xavier's school. And the coolest thing I thought about the X-Men series is that the X-Men and all of the mutants, they're the pariahs. They're the people on the outside of society that the humans and the regular people hate and vilify and want to destroy, and it's so saddening. But they have this amazing community, whether that's Charles Xavier's school or the Brotherhood. All of these mutants come together and create this amazing like family and brotherhood and community, and it made me think that no matter who you are, no matter what you're into, no matter how alone or isolated you feel, you can always find other people out there in the world that share your beliefs and ideals, and you can find that community and that found family. The third person I want to talk about is Hawkeye from the Avengers series. Hawkeye is kind of the butt of a lot of people's jokes because while everyone else in the Avengers has powers or access to magic or amazing tech, Hawkeye has a bow and arrow. And it's not a basic bow and arrow. He's got like exploding bows, freezing bows, he's got all this cool stuff, but it is still kind of a bow and arrow next to someone who can summon lightning. But the thing that Hawkeye does is he made me realise that even though you are viewed as ordinary, that doesn't mean that at no point you can't be extraordinary. Like, yes, compared to all of the other Avengers, he's kind of just the regular guy. But he still has this amazing skill set and passion and drive that makes him a hero, no matter what other people say. Going back to the X-Men universe, I'm now going to talk about Professor X and Magneto, two amazing mutants who have this really interesting relationship that has spanned so much time, and they kind of both want the same thing, but maybe in slightly different ways. Professor X wants to unify the world and have, like, mortals, humans, regular people embrace mutant kind, whereas Magneto wants to rule over them. But at the end of the day, they kind of both want to be seen and understood, and they want people to, like, you know, understand that mutants are people too. And that kind of taught me that there's more than one path to take when dealing with a situation, but no path is going to be correct all of the time. Charles Xavier is very much about peace and education, and that's great. He's trying to educate people and change minds, but sometimes that's not enough. Whereas Magneto doesn't care to educate and enlighten people, he just wants to go in with violence, which again, is not always going to work. It kind of has to be a weird blend or maybe a switchback of these two methods. So although they kind of want the same thing, they go about it different ways, but no way is going to be right all the time. Staying in the X-Men universe, next we're going to talk about Rogue. Rogue is an awesome mutant who has the power to drain the life force and also the abilities of any mutant or human that she touches. And it's been quite a curse for her, because she cannot have like physical touch with any living person unless she's like wearing really thick gloves or something. And Rogue has always felt that her powers are a hindrance, they're a curse. And there were so many people telling her they're not a curse, they're not a curse, they're a gift, but you know, when your power is to control the weather, which is very fun, versus someone who can never touch anyone or feel skin-to-skin contact, that's kind of like a crock of crap. And that made me realise that there are things about us. Like, everyone has things about them that they dislike, that they really don't like, and it is our decision to either change that thing or to accept it and try to love it. Next on the list is Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, who is able to control magical energy either through the use of artifacts or by channeling energy from dimensions beyond our own. Now, Doctor Strange's story is interesting because he wasn't always a mystic wizard. He was a surgeon, like one of the best surgeons in the world. He got into a terrible accident that destroyed his hands and, well, you know, without having the use of his hands, he kind of felt like he had nothing left in life until he discovered the powers of magic and became a hero. And that story kind of taught me that we can get past almost anything that life throws at us. Like, life can throw a lot of terrible things at you, but I feel like we all have the strength and the will to get past those things if we try hard enough. And I'm not saying that everything we can just overcome, because that is a very idealistic, optimistic view, but a lot of the things that life throws at us, we can get past if we try hard enough. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for all my other content. And if there's any other pop culture stuff you want me to talk about, pop it in the comments below and I will try to make a video on it if I can. See ya!